Look at us. We're all Christmasified again. I'm wearing a shark with, hold on, can you guys see? Christmas bulbs, Christmas lights on it.
C9 bulbs, to be precise.
They're
the
large.
best bulbs.
Yeah. And I got some Christmas makeup on. I curled my
Christmas
hair.
Dino. Let's Christmas it up. You ready? Here's the bit. It's not a song. It's literally just sleigh bells.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
all
thought it
you
was
need.
going to go into some.
No.
I was like, is The Last of Us going to start playing?
Let's just play this in the background of the entire episode.
That'll get old real quick for like everyone.
Did you say you want me to turn it up?
I did not.
Fair enough. Hey, you know what? Fair enough.
But hello, everyone. As you can see behind Andrew and on Andrew, we are very Christmasified, not so much in our bedroom.
It's Christmas.
I mean, there's a little plaid happening here and me, and then some lights.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
It's
so
to put a Christmas throw pillow behind you or something.
You forgot to bring our Christmas pillows over from storage this year. Look at that guilty face. We have two. We have two pillows that we always put on our couch, and we don't have them this year.
They must be in with the other fluffy stuffed animal thing that we have. The snow people.
Snow people.
Yeah, the snowmen.
The Hallmark.
The tableaus of snowmen that we have. In
various situations.
The
and
legion
scenarios.
of tableau snowmen.
Yeah. They're the little Hallmark sing-along things. My mom has gotten me an Andrew one every year.
We're gonna get one this year.
Like 16 years.
I think
we didn't get one last year.
Maybe they didn't
make
one
I'm
last year.
Done.
She's like, all right, I'm done with these. No one appreciates my snowman tableaus.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, Mom. But yes, we're here and we're gonna have fun. This is one of 2 episodes today. One of 2 episodes for the last of 2022. So I'm very excited. I'm sure Andrew's very excited. We're slipping into staycation mode shortly.
Oh man. I can't wait. I'm going to be streaming some video games. I'm working on some personal projects, prepping for 2023. I like to call it making things easier for future Andrew. That's what I'm doing. I'm just like, hey, let's treat future Andrew okay by doing a little bit now, in addition to relaxing. So it's good.
I got that. I have a 2020. I just threw my phone. I have a 2023 battle plan on my phone.
Battle plan?
Yeah, because I gotta go in swinging. But I might change that to 2023 manifestation plan. That
Could
feels
be battle plan
better
if your mascot is Canny McGee.
Canny McGee.
Fuck you, January.
I love how you froze at this point. And I just hit the shit out of my mic. I'm sorry, everyone.
Perfect.
But yeah, I love that. That was it was a good moment. Anyway, so this episode is basically going to be short and sweet and part gratitude and appreciation, part catching up on some random comments on Twitter and Instagram, and just kind of talking about a few things that we've seen lately in the news.
Okay.
We're not doing any emails. We're not doing any artifacts, technically. Just
general little things here
and
there.
With a dose of we love you guys, and we're so thankful that you are, just fans of the show and love or like what we are enduring. And yeah, it's our little temporary Christmas gift, or just Christmas gift, not temporary. Now, if that went into Gab's version of The Last of Us, that would have been great.
I didn't have enough time. To download Sleigh Bells and our song and merge them in a volume that was appropriate.
It's true. We're also not doing any pre or post show where we normally kind of work out all of our if our energy is too high or our energy is too low, we sort of balance that out in the pre or post show, but we opted not
Yeah.
to do that today because it's a bonus show.
And the
It's
energy's perfect.
yeah, it's 5 days before
Clearly.
Christmas, 6
Clearly.
days 6 days?
It's on
Including
Sunday.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're feeling
Yeah.
good. We're here.
Agreed.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think one of the first things okay, hot off the presses
All
news.
right, get it out. Let's
Yeah.
get it over
I
with.
just gotta talk about it. Um, I I don't know if I've mentioned this, on a previous bonus show or previous episode or extra audio, whatever, but I've been binge watching Supernatural, which is one of my favorite TV shows, like, from I started watching it when I was 22 years old when it came out in 2005, and it finished in 2022 when I was 37. So, it's been a significant amount of life, and I'm very much enjoying it. I love it. I always will love it. I love Jared and Jensen, the main characters, Dean and Sam. But I just went on to our Instagram, which is Wayfarin Strangers minus the G. And
Wayfaring.
no,
Not wayfaring.
yeah, Wayfarin. And apparently Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean Winchester on Supernatural, pushed really hard to get the role of Joel Miller on the Last of Us HBO show.
Uh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And he was aware. He was like, "I don't think I was ever seriously up for it." And of course he praised Pedro Pascal in the next sentence. But I just think it's interesting because that's not for some reason I just didn't have him on my radar for that role, but he is 45 years old now. Like, he can grow, again, I know it's all aesthetics, but, like, we know he has the gruff voice, he can grow the beard, he's been in apocalyptic situations. I don't know if he's the caliber actor that a role like Joel requires.
Mhm.
However, we don't know,
We don't.
and
We don't
and we
know.
never will because
That's
he
not true. He might have something, he might
yeah,
get something in the future that would be like, yeah, that was good. That was good, Joel.
yeah, and I
I really
yeah.
I watched a little bit of Supernatural with you
Mhm.
along the way, and I bounced off at about season 32, I think it was.
Stop.
Somewhere in that neck of the woods. And I, well, I can't remember if I've seen him in much since then, up until recently when I watched him in The Boys, where
Mhm.
he was excellent.
Yeah.
Season 3 of The Boys on Amazon. And he truly does have a much closer to Joel vibe in that,
Mhm.
like physically, but also just like kind of a real hard ass. So I would not rule it out entirely that he is capable of doing the role.
Mhm.
I think he just finds himself in projects and meets them where they are. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like if you're in a CW television show, you're going to deliver a CW television show performance, right? Whereas if you're
Exactly.
in like a Coen Brothers movie, for instance, if you get lucky enough to be in one of them, you
Mhm.
will. I just think naturally you will rise to the level. You will rise to meet them
Yeah.
where they are,
Yeah.
and so that's just kind of my thought about that. I wouldn't
Mhm.
rule him out entirely if he was being direct. If he was on HBO being directed by Craig,
Mhm.
I think he could do what needs to be done.
I agree with that, and honestly, I felt bad saying I don't know if he has if he's at that caliber because there's just so many different factors to what gives us an actor's performance, be it good, bad, or indifferent.
Sure.
And, one of the things I've heard people talk about with the new Mario movie coming out with Chris Pratt, I'm not- yeah, they're just like, and who is Princess Peach? Who's her voice? I can't remember. But
I only know Keegan Michael Key is Toad.
yeah,
Everybody is incredible. Don't get me wrong. Jack Black is Bowser. It's
yeah.
all coming back to me right now. We're doing some
Is it Anna
googling.
Taylor-Joy?
It might be Anya Taylor
Anya,
Joy.
excuse me.
Come on, babe. Come on.
I don't watch new stuff. I don't care
Yeah.
about new yeah. I think it is her. So let's just go into
It is.
the
I'm looking at it right now. Verified.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. There's that.
So I love that. So people are just like, these people just dialed in their performances. You can hear it in their voice. And I'm like, first of all, you barely hear them in the
Yeah.
trailers. And I know everyone loves to hate Chris Pratt. And to be honest, I've been in that camp for a while now too. I just think he's annoying now overall. Like I'm just tired of seeing him act like a goof while and this was a topic at dinner this past weekend when we just did, Christmas shindig or whatever. And we were talking about how James Gunn, I know I'm all over the place. Um
Okay. We're 6 levels removed, but all right.
yeah.
We will swing back.
Yes, we will, I promise. How James Gunn is in charge of, DC and whatever. And he's fucking it up already because he got rid of Henry Cavill and I'm just and Gal Gadot and I'm tired. Like I'm exhausted. I don't Superman is my favorite superhero by far and away. Like nobody, not a single Marvel movie comes close to touching how I feel for Clark Kent slash Superman.
Wow.
That is a deep, deep love my whole life. And
Wow.
Henry Cavill is Superman. And in October, it was announced that he's coming back, and then, like, 5 days ago, they were like, "Oh, we're just kidding." It's
Okay.
literally meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Like,
Surprise.
we all fucking knew this was gonna happen, and it's heartbreaking, I'm sad. But all that to say, James Gunn, in my opinion, sucks. Like, his movies are just dumb, oafy dude
Mhm.
who's surrounded by powerful women who get half or less than none of the credit for all of the successes that happen. And it's tiring. It's fucking tiring.
Mhm.
And I don't remember what the point was now.
Okay. We
Oh,
got
Mario.
here. Yeah, we got here
Yeah.
by way of Mario, by way of Jensen.
Yes. So we're walking back. So basically, it just feels like Chris Pratt is kind of in that same area of I get to do whatever I want because I'm Chris Pratt, even if I'm like shitty at it. And that pisses me off. But I also to walk it back to Jensen, I feel like that he's in that pigeonhole. Not that he's a shitty person or an actor. I don't get that at all from Jensen. He seems like a cool dude. He owns like a brewing company called Family Business Beer Co. in Texas. Like I'm into it. But we haven't seen what he's capable of. And I think that's a kind of a bummer considering, I love Pedro Pascal, but I've been kind of like not necessarily on the fence, but I'm like, you need to show me. You need to prove this to me, Pedro.
Right.
And he doesn't owe me shit. I get that. But
Hey, right.
yeah.
This Pedro Pascal, unknown quantity, this guy. What else has he done?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I know. I know.
Like we know that Pedro is extremely charming. We know that he's very funny. Like he's a funny dude. And I'm still kind of bummed that we haven't watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with him and Nicolas Cage. I really want to see that.
Do it tonight.
Um
It's a Christmas movie.
I don't think it is.
Any movie is a Christmas movie if you watch it at Christmas time.
Touche. But I mean like my closest reference really are The Mandalorian and Game of Thrones, Oberyn Martell on Game of Thrones. And again, he was like that smooth, suave character, just like sexual fluidity and anger and rage.
Mhm.
So like we saw a little bit of a polarization in his character and what he could have done, but that was what, like 10 years ago? Like clearly he's been doing this a while. He's gotten better. And
Right.
I'm very excited to see that.
Practice makes perfect.
But in my brain, he was just never an option. So it was like that jarring, like, what? Kind of thing. And even Jensen's news to an
Jensen, no.
extent. Yeah, yeah, and before off air, Andrew was like, "Well, I doubt he played the game too," but I'm like, I'm pretty sure that him and Jared Padalecki, who played his brother, Sam Winchester on Supernatural for 15 seasons, I'm pretty sure they were in their trailer every day gaming, like PS3, PS4,
Okay.
in between this, that, and the other, so I'm like, I'm pretty fucking sure he's played those games, and if he's
Listener,
pushing for
please
that
write us.
role
Please write in after
yeah,
you've done the research and let us know.
yeah,
If
Jensen, if you're listening.
yeah, if you live vicariously as Joel through this podcast, first of all, thanks. And
Yeah,
then also, feel free to come on. But also, did you
love it.
game?
Yeah. Did you like
Yeah.
it? I just I know I'm just like again, I'm just such a little asshole when it comes to this whole like casting stuff. I get it. But I don't just know that it's not coming from a place of like judgment or um like cruelty because we've seen that on social media too. That's not where this is coming from. It's just we
Okay.
all have a concept in our brain of how this should play out. And I just hope that Pedro does it. I really do.
I think he will. But
Yeah.
hey, you
So
know,
do I.
I've been wrong.
I do.
But
I'm usually wrong. That's my problem. But anyway. So that was talking point number 1.
TP1. All
The
right.
second point,
TP2.
and I want to talk to you about this first before getting to Twitter comments. Cuz I asked on our Twitter
Okay. I'm ready.
on where is it? On 5
The
days
answer is
ago.
no.
No. 5 days ago on December the 14th, 2022.
The year of our Lord.
Yeah, in the year of our Lord. Uh Somebody tweeted, "The Last of Us Part 3 is rumored to be in development according to uh a viewer anon," which that's the username, viewer anon.
Viewer Anon. Okay.
And it says, "As always, take with a grain of salt." So I retweeted that and I said, "What are we thinking? How are we feeling? Sound off below and we'll feature your comment in next week's bonus show," which is today, right now.
Sure.
So before we get to comments, what do you think about that? And two, how you feel about it?
Uh, I mean, Sony really likes money. So,
Who doesn't like money?
yeah, it makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Here's what I'm of two minds of it, as with most things. I try to see both sides of the situation.
Mhm.
If you are a person who is working at Naughty Dog, even if you're Neil Druckmann, right? It has to be it has to be difficult to work on the same thing for years.
Yeah.
Even Naughty Dog, even back Crash Bandicoot to eventually, all the things they did, making the jump to Uncharted
Mhm.
and then The Last of Us, and then
Mhm.
kind of alternating back and forth between those two properties. But now they are primarily just the Uncharted and Last of Us company.
Mhm.
Uh, I would think that as long as the passion is there to continue to tell this story, then I'm all for it.
Okay.
And if the idea is there and it works.
Mhm.
But if it is literally just like, let's go, let's let's
Just churn them
let's
out.
get that next one going, then I don't without drastically changing up the formula, I don't think that would be a good thing, right? I don't want a
Mhm.
story just because we got a big check from Sony. Our development, our
Mhm.
company, the head of the company, and we just made another one, and we kind of just like grabbed a bunch of shit. I would prefer that Naughty Dog work on the game that they want to work on.
Mhm.
It sounds like Factions, whatever that is at the moment, is going forward regardless. But it also sounds like that's something they've always wanted to do, right?
Give me it.
What? Oh, Faction. Yeah.
Factions, yeah.
Especially if it is as they describe it.
Yeah.
It would be a real problem for me. That's how I'd like to describe it. Uh, it would just be a real problem for me. Not for me. It would be a real problem for everything that surrounds me. Neglected.
Me. I don't even exist anymore, yeah.
Right. You're I don't remember you from Factions. What's your name?
I know. Well, I'll just be like, I'm in there as Jaded Vader.
Oh, you're JV. Got it. Got it.
Yes.
You really fumbled that throw at the clicker. I
Candy
remember
McGee,
that.
I fucked
Yeah.
it up.
Um,
Yeah.
that is my thought. That is my like initial thought about that. The other thing is like if they are working on The Last of Us 3,
Mhm.
which is possible, it is so early in that development that we're not even going to see it for 3 to 4 years. Like if they like even if they had gotten the bones of the story down, that is not a
Mhm.
game we will see for years.
Yeah.
And
like 2027.
I don't care about a game that comes out like more than 6 months from now. Like if it doesn't come out, then I don't care about it. Like I can't anymore. So
I get that.
that's when we watch the Game Awards. The really interesting thing about the Game Awards was that every trailer, I think it was all but one,
Mm.
every single trailer had a release date for 2023. Do I think that a lot of those release dates are
Lofty goals.
optimistic? I
Yeah.
sure do. But I love that they're going for it.
Sure do.
Yeah. It seems like February,
Mm.
March, and June are chock-a-block full of games, big games.
Yeah.
And so there is that.
Mhm.
Getting back to the point at hand is it's great if they are.
Mhm.
And if they're not, that's also great because I love the studio and I just want them to follow their joy.
Yeah.
And even if that joy leads to my immense sadness in the form of a story that's like very heartbreaking, that I support that as well.
Yes. Okay. So we heard rumors a year ago that
Mhm.
The Last of Us Part 3 was written. Like it was scripted, outlined, whatever. And I remember maybe it was over a year ago. It might have been closer to 2 years because it was the Last of Us Part 2 had recently come out, and that was June of 2020. And now we're in December of 2022. So it's been 2.5 years, which is just wild.
Yeah.
Actually, 2.5 years today, because today is December 19th and the game came out on June 19th. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
wild. So I remember feeling that like I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt. I don't think I want now, when I first heard that, I was like, I don't fucking care about a part 3 because I was still so devastated over what happened in part 2 that I was like, I'm done with like the story that I
We're done
hoped
professionally.
for. Yeah, the story that I hoped for did not come to fruition. And again, this is all, my expectations, meh, but it was just it was more than just expectations. It was just like lies also from the powers that be. And that I still like remember verbatim, and I don't want to get into that because that's a part 2 discussion. But
Sure.
I remember just being like, I don't care. If this game happens, if it doesn't happen, I don't care. And now fast forward, a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is now, to where we are with this, I'm less like my feelings are less severe.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
Mhm.
But the problem is for me personally and a bunch of people that I'm close with who still enjoyed The Last of Us Part 2, like that trust is broken. So even like the first trailer, the first like if there's a panel about it with anyone
Mhm.
at Naughty Dog, be it Neil or Holly or any other creatives that might be brought in to help tell this hypothetical story, I'm not going to believe a fucking word that comes out of their mouth because they've proven that that is just in the past they've lied, severe lies. So it's like that part for me will never change. And that's sad because being such a diehard fan, like it does not get more ride or die than this. Like this
Than
is a
me.
podcast, yeah,
Than me.
than me. But I just it broke my heart. And that's hard to just be like willingly and willfully walking into a situation again where I'm like, oh, maybe they'll no. So I'm will always take it with a grain of salt. Even if or when it's confirmed, I will be like, "Okay, I'll see."
We'll see.
That's how I feel. It's like all right, we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. You know what?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Mhm. But on that same vein, I'm gonna read some comments, because we got some really good responses from people,
I'm ready. Hit me
uh,
with them.
to the "What are you thinking? How are we feeling?" question. So
Okay.
Jim, who is a coffee sub, hey, Jim.
Jim Jam.
He says, "I could see this being legit, but I'm honestly not thinking about it too much considering it likely wouldn't release until 2026 or 2027, and I'm
Smart Jim.
also" Yeah. And I'm also super content just playing The Last of Us Part 1 over and over again until then. Jim, you and I, simpatico.
That tracks. That
Yeah.
tracks.
Fully.
Nicely done.
That's what I say to you, Jim.
I am in agreement. And am lost 19, also a wonderful coffee sub. Hello,
I'm
hello.
lost.
They said, I mean, we know officially the outline for part 3 has been made, and it would make sense to begin the production considering the Last of Us universe is spotlighted right now, i.e., the show, Factions 2, the remake, the board game, but overall, hopefully optimistic.
Oh, there we go.
That's what you
Yes.
get, I'm lost.
It's funny because I completely agree with Jim, but I also completely agree with Am Lost / Wanderon because there is so much going on with The
Mhm.
Last of Us right now. The Factions has been a little quiet, but we have the show, the remake that just came out 3 months ago,
Yeah.
and the board game, of which you and I ordered the super duper amazing fantastic collection, which was like $160 and paid for that in early December.
We did.
So, yes, we did. I'm saying we to make it better,
We
but
did. We bought a board game.
which won't come out until next December, FYI.
You don't
Projected.
play it on the PlayStation? You play it like in real life?
Yeah. I'm very excited. And we're gonna
Blah.
get the Smos to play it too to see what kind of decisions and choices they make because I feel like that would be interesting. And if you guys want us to film that, let us know.
Are we gonna
A
become
year from now.
Critical Role?
Critical Role Part 2. Maybe. Anyway, so Am Lost and Jim completely agree with you guys. Next up, Mark Perry says, super curious. I've been very hopeful for a part 3. I've always assumed it would be a trilogy since part 2. I'd very much like to see where Ellie is at and where Abby and Lev wound up. How much, if any, of a time jump there is, etc. I love part 1 and 2, so bring on 3 for the big finish.
These things that we believe about. Well, first of all, hold on.
He's got to pick a sound.
Pretty sure these are velociraptors.
Oh!
Is it a velociraptor? Yeah, I guess maybe.
It looks like a T-Rex. Stop. It's a T-Rex. Oh, you were supposed to put a beer in there. We were supposed to have wine.
It's a little early.
It is early. It's like 2:00.
I plan on being drunk this whole week. But God, let's wait until 5.
I know. All right. I mean, we can fake it.
Just fill it with water.
Mark Perry.
I just want to say the notion that we have to round things out in 3s has been thoroughly debunked by God of War Ragnarok. Wonderful that they're just like, we're done with this story now.
Really? Spoilers?
Yeah, it's just 2. No. I mean, they've publicly said that it was never meant to be a triplet of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they did the 1, and then after they announced 2, they said like 2 will wrap up this story, this particular story of what you're experiencing here. And in my opinion, they did an incredible job. It's like not even close. It's 100% my game of the year.
Okay.
As it is with many folks, I would imagine, if you're a Sony player. But much like The Last of Us, in my opinion, part 1, The Last of Us Part 1, in my eyes, had a pretty definitive ending.
In its ambiguity.
Correct. Also, so does the second one. Definitive insofar as it leaves it up to you.
Okay.
As to where people are, where they might be headed, what the outcome of their lives is. So, once, what is it? Twice is a coincidence. Once is happenstance, twice is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern, right? I would hope that if they made it a third game, we would continue and create the pattern of this life, like this game, like life, nothing is for certain, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be like, and they were happily ever after, right? Like
No.
that's not what I first of
That's
all, I
not what
don't
a Last of
believe
Us game is.
right, and that doesn't gel with this world that they've built or necessarily life really. So
Mhm.
again, I'm all in if they have a great idea and they want to execute on it, and whether it is characters we know or new characters or some combination of the two, I'm
Mhm.
all in. Does that make sense? I want
Yeah.
them to I don't want them to they've got a really nice rhythm, I think,
Mhm.
and I want them to stay that course.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think, some of the like, just kind of this is just a difference of opinion between, well, you and I and you and Mark, like, our commenter. It's just where, like, our each of us have our expectations, like I said. I had certain expectations for part 2. They did not come to pass based off of the information that I was given,
I don't know what
and
those expectations could have been.
several times. But, even just, like, reading this comment, he'd very much like to see where Ellie is at, and in my mind, she's just alone now. Like,
Yeah,
that's how it felt to me. I don't think she went back to Jackson. I don't think she made things right with Dina. I don't think she was that person anymore. So now she's just on this journey, and it's not necessarily the place that matters, it's who she has become. And that, I think, is very clear at the end of part 2. So for me, that was never left in ambiguity.
yeah,
As for Abby and Lev, they ended up in Catalina with the Fireflies. So that also felt like it was wrapped, in my opinion.
sure.
Beyond that, I don't know, like, what that story has to tell. I don't know what story Ellie will have to tell at this point, or they will tell us about Ellie. And I'm afraid of, like, to be fully transparent in who I am, I'm not interested in an Abby and Lev game.
All right, I
And
got it.
I'm not interested in another game where Ellie just gets hurt and goes through the ringer and loses everything over and over and over again. I'm not interested in that anymore. It has been done. I'm done. So, unless unless they go back in time or super forward in time, I don't see how a part 3 will work.
That's the one. JJ goes
Mhm.
looking for Ellie.
Maybe. I could I mean, she left when JJ was like, what, 8 or 9 months old, close to a year,
I
and
don't know.
then kids don't remember at that age. She would just have a
He
memory
just
of,
finds a picture of
yeah,
something, you know?
but
Who
what
is
does
this
that
person?
woman mean to her? Nothing.
I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I know.
I'm
I'm
not that's
just
why I'm not a narrative designer. You know what I'm saying?
I could be a narrative designer. Hire me, Naughty Dog. You might not like what I have to say, but I'll make you money. So, yeah, the next comment is from the incomparable and wonderful Sandra Miller, who is just,
Hi!
in my opinion, and other cosplayers, please do not take offense to this, but I do think Sandra is the best Ellie
The
cosplayer.
best in the biz?
Yes.
All right.
100%. She goes
Sandy
above
M.
and beyond every single time. Her photos, her acting, her performance, like, just the makeup, the set, the photography, the videography, she leans 100% in, and we are 100% in kind of people. So, Sandra, you're just fantastic. But Sandra said, probably won't get hyped until it comes from an official source.
It's good. It's good not to and here's Sandra.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Don't trust me that it hasn't been from an official source yet.
Yeah.
That's all.
Mhm. We're not an
Um
official source.
I would there are certainly leakers that have a proven track record of being accurate.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh, yeah.
spacing on the name of the one, but he basically predicted every announcement at the Game Awards, like down to not predicted, but like had the inside track on information of what would be announced, like Death Stranding 2 or
Yeah.
DS2, whatever the hell we're calling it, working title.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would take it from obviously from Naughty Dog or Sony's PR team, and they have gotten much better about announcing things in the pipeline,
Mhm.
right? in your PlayStation Wrapped, like the wrap up for the year that you can do that tells you all your games and does all that good stuff. They had a looking forward section.
Yeah.
And they were like, here's what you can expect in 2023. And they kind of just laid it all out. Like, January's a little weak. You know, sometimes it tends to be, right? It's like everyone's kind of waking up. February, PSVR 2 plus Call of the Wild in VR. And then they have little things here and there. And then like fall, they're like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And when when Sony says that, I'm like, you could pretty much etch that in. I know fall is a wide window, but it's a pretty sure bet. They have not missed a meaningful release date so far for PS5, I should say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't The Last of Us Part 2 delayed a couple times?
It was, but we're not talking like there's a delay and then there's like a delay, right?
Yeah,
which is like,
I know what you mean.
when Microsoft's like Starfield last year or this year, I guess, and they're like, no Starfield. And they're like,
No
when? And
Starfield
we're
for
like,
you.
we don't know Starfield. Who is that?
Wait, there's no date for Starfield?
I don't believe so right now. I think
Hold
it
up.
was a quarter. I think
It
they
just
gave
says
a quarter.
2023, yeah.
Yeah, I think they said
Shit.
Q1 or Q2 2023. But even that, I think The Last of Us was pushed. At first it was pushed. It was like a month or two, right? It was like supposed to be a January game?
No,
And
it was
then
supposed to be November.
And then it got pushed to like April or something, right?
I think so.
It was only a few months. And then again, we're in the middle of a pandemic at this point in time. And I think they pushed it like another 6 weeks. It was not a lot of time. It was, but that's when we got like leaks in that 6-week period.
Oh, you're talking about, I'm sorry. I thought you were still talking about Starfield. No, The Last of Us was not supposed to be out in November.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it a January or February game
I think it
initially?
was February, or was it
and then
early
got
March?
pushed, and then it got pushed to I believe it was April, and then it got pushed like another 6 weeks, which put us in June, right?
Yeah.
You said so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like the order of operations. It was like, but I would not consider that to be like a meaningful delay, really, especially given the circumstances that we were in. But the PS5 releases that they have had thus far have not missed. When they're like Miles Morales, Demon Souls, The Last of Us Part 1, which was a short announced to release window, but never Ratchet and Clank. Think of every PS5 game. They have not missed the mark when they say it's coming out, it's coming out.
Yeah.
And so that's, an official source would be great. And if Sony says it, chef's kiss. It's like, it's going to happen.
Either way. Yeah. So Sandra, we agree. No, the hype will be
nicely done,
tempered until an official source confirms or denies. So the next comment is from our wonderful Mari, who says tempering expectations, but very much excited, as I think it is the next logical step for Naughty Dog to finish the trilogy. I just hope this still is an Ellie and Joel story since Abby is done.
Is Abby done?
I agree with Mari. I do think Abby's story was told. What else do we need to know there? Realistically.
I'm
and that's not
I'm
of course there's a little bit of bias in there. But even pushing all of that aside, again, we met her, we figured out what was wrong, we figured out what her mission was. We saw her complete that mission and then try to backpedal that mission. And then that part of her journey led her to the last remaining supposedly members of the Fireflies in, a very beautiful, peaceful area of the United States. And that's that. So,
right.
It
had a beginning, middle, and end,
It did. In that one game, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, Joel and Ellie had a beginning, a middle, and ambiguous end in part 1, but then in part 2, they did not have a beginning, middle, and end at all. It was just an end. And then it was just Ellie left to deal with that by not dealing with it. So, could this potentially be another Joel and Ellie story? I don't know. Could I figure out a way to make it one? Yes,
Right.
but I'm not going to do that right now.
Flashback. Joel Ghost.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Dream sequence. It was all a dream.
And Mari's the second commenter to kind of mention this trilogy, which I never thought in my mind, I never put the word trilogy with The Last of Us.
The Last of Us trilogy. It does have
It does.
a certain ring to it.
It does. And we talked about this on a recent review show about, was it our part 1 of episode 22, or it might have been part 2, which people haven't listened to yet, but they will next week. But how the notes for some of these, like the artifacts that we pick up.
Yeah.
The notes for it was part 1 because we were talking about, you read the list of like in, out, biologist in, doctors out, that whole thing. And just that whole group of people unto themselves could have had their own Last of Us story.
Sure.
Each the students left behind in the college could have had their own Last of Us story. So there is a wealth of storytelling that could happen within The Last of Us. But for me personally, and I know that this does not mean across the board, The Last of Us is a Joel and Ellie story.
Right.
And so if it's not that in part 3, I don't
Based off of the part 2 and how that kind of unfolded, would you go as far as saying it's more of an Ellie story?
Yes.
Yeah. Joel is a key factor in an Ellie story.
Well, and you and I have had conversations off air about that, and so have, like, for example, Bree and I, or whomever, but it's Joel is at the center of part 2. Like, he's the motivating factor for good,
everybody.
bad, or indifferent. So it doesn't, like, even from Abby's point of view, Joel is at the center of that story for her. Like, her father primarily is the emotional driver for Abby, but so is Joel. So it's like that was a Joel and Ellie story, but Ellie was the main character, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Whereas in part 1, Joel was the main character, but it was still a Joel and Ellie story. So what happens in a part 3? Who knows?
Ellie stumbles across a whole village of people who are also immune.
And then what?
Lives happily ever after. Done.
That would
Trust
be
me.
weird. That would be weird as hell.
They've all sequestered themselves in, I don't know, pick a place. Baja, Mexico. Done.
Deep going south instead of north. All right.
Right, yeah.
So
let's get I'm done with this snow stuff. Let's get into the desert. Let's get weird. I want to see a scorpion or something,
the desert would be cool to see in a desert style infected. Okay, we're tangent. So the last comment. The last comment was by a fake Faeke. Fakey. And they said, "Bring it on. Hope we give this series a satisfying ending."
Okay. This, if they don't, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what your definition of a satisfying ending is.
And everyone has a different version of it.
And what you determine that to be. Satisfying for who? If you like Abby and Lev, 2 is a pretty satisfying ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
For them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of Ellie, it's not quite as satisfying.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit more
Lonely.
Yeah.
Devastating. Hollow.
Uh-huh.
Empty.
Uh-huh.
And keep going.
Well, there we go.
I thought you were going to say it's getting dark.
Yeah. So it just depends on what you consider to be a satisfying ending. Again, I don't, I'm good either way. If the story is there and they have something, I'm ready to sit down. I basically, with very few exceptions, when Sony's like, here's our game,
Mhm.
any Sony studios, like, here's our game,
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm in. I'm going to sit down and do this thing. So,
Yeah. All right.
yeah. A lot of people seem
Okey-dokey.
overwhelmingly ready for another game, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah. Mhm.
You'd
Mhm.
play it.
I
You'd play it.
I would say I'd mostly play it, but it really does depend. And I know that that's a bitchy comment, but if I'm sorry, if it's a completely new story
Uh-huh.
with nobody I recognize, with tiny little snippets of things, I don't know. And I
You're
actually said,
totally fucking with me.
and so Doomsday Dave, he messaged and brought this up, and he was like, "Well, you have to play it because there's the podcast." And I was like, "I fucking know!" Like, I'm trying to rectify that in my brain that no matter what, I'm gonna have to play this.
That's right.
But I
But
don't know how I'm gonna feel about it.
we are a Last of Us podcast up to the second game. You want third game coverage? You got to go elsewhere. I don't know these people.
It's so petty. It's so petty. We'll see. That's all.
You do
That's all
not
I'm just gonna.
recognize this extended universe. We're just assuming that it's just,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fun though.
Anyway, yeah, that's all. So, excuse me, those were the comments that I promised y'all that I would read, so we did
There
that.
we go.
I'm just kind of cherry picking some direct messages on Instagram, but this one is from Annalyn, who also sent us an email, which we have not gotten to yet, maybe one or two actually. So thank you for that. But on December 3rd, Annalyn said, "Hello there. Just wanted to pop in and say that your recent podcast discussion of bridges in the world of The Last of Us definitely was one of my first thoughts during the bridge shots in the trailer. Lol. Congrats on that influence. And also, wow, that trailer. Excited to hear your thoughts on it." So we already discussed the trailer. We don't talk about that. But I laughed so much because you and I legitimately.
Yeah, we went hard against going across bridges.
And then a
the
week
trailer
later
comes out and it's like, look at this
Bridge,
beautiful bridge.
bridge.
We're just horsing right across it. It's like,
And driving across one.
yeah. It's like, well,
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, Andrew, I'm pretty sure I can't remember verbatim, but you were like, "You know what would happen if I stepped foot on that bridge? 1 foot on that bridge, collapse."
yeah. Down.
Yeah, down. And the mission's over. No,
Right.
it was very
20
funny
years,
timing.
no maintenance on this bridge. Not good.
No,
Not good.
it's not great.
Not made of stone, it's made of metal.
Bridges need maintenance.
Rivets come out.
Not even that, they just break.
Right. The road. Have you ever been on a road that's got like a pothole? It's like that's like 8 months of not being looked after.
Not even. Sometimes that's just the winter season.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's
There's
it.
just one time where snow falls and the ground's like, I give up. You got me. Asphalt's like, I wasn't built for this shit. And it just falls apart. 20 years.
Me, you, and Annalyn. Annalyn? I might be saying your name wrong. I'm so sorry.
Was it? Spell it.
Annelyn.
Annalyn.
Right?
I don't know.
I lost the message. Yeah.
Annalyn.
Annalyn? I'm going to go with Annalyn.
Annalyn.
I don't want to say Annalyn because that doesn't sound.
Annalyn.
But that's just my. Okay. And
Maybe.
then.
Either way. AL. Al. No.
You can call me Al. So on December 7th, Becky Kendall, and I know I'm pretty sure, well, I replied to a bunch of messages from Becky Kendall. But this was in regards to these are a couple quick messages. Starting December 5th. I'm just gonna kind of go back and forth here. So, Becky, Jack, I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay, but literally every time you were crying in the podcast episode about the trailer, you made me cry. I had some
infectious
waterworks.
tears.
Yeah. Thanks for doing such a thorough and heartfelt rundown of the trailer. My God, what a masterpiece that thing is. Your tearful comments about Ashley Johnson's little clip and bringing Ellie to life made me lose it. Legit, in the best way, of course. But oh man, tears for days. Just all of it, all of it, all of it is sob inducing. I always want to message you guys after the bonus shows, and then I chicken out when it comes down to it. Dumb, I know. But this time I said, fuck it. Because you know what? The show is going to be epic, and your reaction to the trailer made me feel seen. I'm going to stop rambling now. You guys rock. Bye. So I responded to these messages.
Becky.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, Becky.
Hey!
Hey.
Yeah. And it kind of goes from there. She replied to some of my sentiments, but then she goes on to say, or excuse me, I don't want to use pronouns. They go on to say, I know you guys said it in the episode, but oh lordy, Bella is gonna slay as Ellie or what? The joke clicking she did absolutely killed me. I was like, oh hell, that was the most
Really good.
Ellie thing I ever did see. I honestly do see what you mean about Pedro as well. I love him. He's great. He's gonna be great, but like, is he Joel? I don't know yet. There's a disconnect at the moment, but I'm totally ready to welcome him with open arms into the character, but like, he might be the only actor to character ratio that isn't quite adding up, you know? I know you know, lol. And I know I'm jumping ahead, but I wonder how they're going to do grown-up Ellie in later seasons. I'm sure it's going to be several years/seasons of the show down the line, but I look at my dear, adorable, sweet, queer little Bella, and I'm like, Kate. And then it just talks about attraction a little bit. I don't know if Becky wanted me to read that, so I'm just going to stop there. But we talked about the Pedro casting, stuff like that privately. I've talked about it with you on here. You've talked about it with me on here. So
Sure.
I'm going to just focus on the aging Ellie up conversation. So, and weirdly enough, I talked about this with my cousin earlier today because she's falling down the rabbit hole of The Last of Us finally. It makes me very happy. But
It's about time.
But I think that with the trick of makeup, movie magic makeup, hairstyling, and clothes, like wardrobe changes and styles, I think that because right now Bella Ramsey is 19 years old. She filmed the first season when she was 18. And I'm not worried about how 4 or 5 years down the line might work out for her character to look aged. I think that they can do that, and it's not such a significant amount of time that they need CGI or to replace the actor, but really just like changing the hair, changing the makeup, putting, certain scars or attributes to Ellie's character, I think will do the trick, personally.
I tend to agree. I mean, it looks like we're not even going to get the full story of the first game in season 1. It seems to me that we'll get 2.5 seasons, like actual seasons of the year out of the 4 in the game. So what is the difference in time between the Ellie we meet? It's 7 years from The Last of Us Part 1 to The Last of Us Part 2. What's that time? How much older? 5. I mean, that's basically what's going to happen. She'll be roughly 5 years older by the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I would think that you would go through it as an actor in terms of like, if the role requires a physical transformation within reason. I'm not telling anybody to go full Christian Bale machinist or anything like that. If it required bulking up or slimming down or whatever, or getting more hours of makeup in terms of like, because everybody in Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2 is like dirty and gritty, like all the time, like covered in like mud and shit and rain and always always. And so I think that I trust HBO. Not all of the decisions they make as of late, but like when it comes to their programming, they are like, it is exact. They are exacting with what they choose to invest their money in, and so I'm just gonna let it play out.
Okay.
But yeah, it's worth calling out. It's worth calling out.
I agree. I think there's a lot to kind of not pick apart necessarily, um, but when it comes to the show, I think it's just gonna be easier for us to put things under a microscope. Like, we already do that on the actual podcast, so it stands to reason that we will continue to do that and potentially even in more depth because we're comparing it to what is already under the fucking microscope. So,
Yeah.
talking about, acting or casting or makeup or this, that, or the other, it's just always gonna have that extra level of competition
Yeah.
because something exists before it.
I and in my opinion, it is much harder to go the other way and make
Mhm.
someone look younger than they are. So
I agree. Always
I
looks weird.
yeah, so
Mhm.
I mean, Bella Ramsey is at the age right now that a lot of actors can be at, where with just like a simple change of their haircut they can look 5 years younger, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and
yeah.
and then the same, it's a swing in either direction. You can like change just like very basic things and look in either, like change a little bit about your acting and a little bit about how you look, and boom,
Mhm.
it's done. And so that's
Yeah.
what I like, because we are getting Left Behind, which is before, and
Mhm.
they're gonna not age down, but like she will have to at least act a little bit younger, right,
Mhm.
than the Ellie we know,
Mhm.
and that's great. Again, I think it's like the perfect. She's in like the perfect pocket right now
Yeah.
to carry this character from one age right through to where we last leave her, I guess.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you, and we have no idea excuse me, we have no idea when season 2 and beyond might be filming, and we also don't know where season 1 leaves off. So
Yeah.
season 2 might still have 14 slash almost 15-year-old Ellie, and Bella is fine. And even, seeing her in public appearances, she and this is no commentary on her appearance whatsoever and what she chooses to do and versus what she doesn't choose to do. I love her style. Like, she's rocking Stella McCartney suits and everything else. Like, get it, Bella,
Yeah.
I'm here. But she is very tame when it comes to her style of makeup and hair. And that could either be a personal choice or could still keep her looking younger than she really is.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me because changing her hair, putting like dirtying her up, whatever, as a character will definitely add age to her for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah. But that's all the comments that we're gonna tackle on this bonus show.
What?
Um, and before we kind of do our little outro and stuff like that, Andrew and I just wanna it's usually me, and of course I will start this off, but Andrew, I would like you to kind of chime in as well.
You're gonna sing right now? Are we about to sing?
No, no. I wanna share how much gratitude and appreciation we have for the listeners of this podcast. Whether you watch on YouTube or you listen through your favorite podcasting app, if you're working while you're hanging out with us, or if you're driving, like we just had this wonderful person say they had a 6-hour drive that turned into a 10-hour drive, and they listened to us. I don't know if it was the whole time. I don't want to
That
make that
was
assumption.
that was roughly just one episode they listened to for
Hush,
10 hours.
hush, you. But that's a really incredible feeling as a creator and people who run such a passion project. And we don't have to do this thing. We don't have to continue doing this thing. We can stop right now. But we're not going to because we love it. We're enjoying it. We're enjoying all of you. And the love that we feel is just it's powerful and we're very grateful.
I concur.
That might be all we get from Andrew.
No, it's good. A lot
Mhm.
of work goes into podcasting, y'all.
Yes.
I mean, it does not seem like it. I know from the outside, it's
Mhm.
because everybody does it, and sometimes it's a hobby for a lot of folks. But to do it right,
And to do
to
it
do it
well.
consistently, to keep it up is a challenge
Mhm.
for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, again, just to reiterate, we appreciate everyone who listens and takes the time to write in. A lot of the
Very much.
times you just put stuff out there and you're like, well, I have no idea what is happening with this thing, because you
Yeah.
don't ever hear from anybody.
Yeah.
So it is really nice when something resonates deeply.
Yeah.
Something that you care about. You're like, hey, there are more like me.
Yes.
As it were.
Yeah.
So
It makes
yeah,
us feel less alone in
of
loving this
course.
thing, and we know we're not alone in loving The Last of Us, first and foremost, and we make jokes like
Right.
the ride or die joke earlier,
You've
but
seen the sales numbers. We know we're not alone.
yes. Yeah. And it's not even that, like, the incredible artwork in this fandom, the cosplay, the fan movies, the fan edits, the virtual photography, it is just it really is a very powerful group of people and creatives coming together, and I feel very fortunate that we're in that crowd. And I know it's a choice.
Yeah.
It is a choice. Like I said, we don't have to be here. We don't have to do this. And sometimes, I struggle with, why am I doing this? I'm not hearing anything. I don't know if people are liking this. But Andrew always reminds me, if people didn't like it, or if it was just shit quality, like, you would hear that.
Yeah.
But no news is good news, and he's right. And this is all, like, and I'm not discounting the emails, the messages, the direct messages, even texts sometimes from best friends who watch our show and listen. I'm not discounting that at all. I mean, just, like, I see how many people listen, and I see how many people view the website now. And it's, if you ever have wanted to talk to us, please do that.
Hey, we're right
No
here.
no hesitation, no shyness, no nothing, like, you have a seat at this table, friend, come on. Let's go.
# Miller Monday.
Yeah. Get in, we're fucking talking about The Last of Us. Let's go.
Get in, loser. We're talking about The Last of Us.
Yes, I knew I forgot a fucking word. I always botch shit. I even botched the word
You
botch.
never even saw that movie.
Shut up.
First of all,
I see the memes, okay?
God damn it. It's a wonderful film.
I'm sure it is. But, yes, all that to say, and speaking of, our website is done. I finally did it, me. And just FYI, I did it. It took me about a solid 20 hours to build that site out.
20.
20, yeah, over 2 days. I basically did nothing but that. And all of the images on the website are my photography. All of the write-ups are from both of us, like, Andrew wrote his bio, I wrote mine, like, all the other little tidbits. We are going to, ask people if they would like to be a part of the blog and submit write-ups, opinion pieces, or companion pieces to things that we've already done, or just anything on your heart that revolves around The Last of Us. We will have a submission form after the new year for all y'all to check out.
Mhm.
It's not limited to just our coffee subs. And yeah, the first episode of Wayfarin West dropped 3 days early because the website finished early.
You're
So
welcome.
yeah, yeah. But and people seem to really be enjoying it and musing on it, and I saw a comment or two already. I have to get back to those. But yeah, I'm feeling very fulfilled with this podcast, and I hope I hope people are happy with what we're doing.
The ideal scenario is that we create
An
a
empire.
Russian nesting doll. So we review The Last of Us, and then one of you out there makes a podcast reviewing our podcast reviewing The Last of Us. And then another entrepreneurial listener makes a podcast reviewing the review podcast reviewing the podcast that reviews the game. So forth and so on down the line.
Please don't do that.
Until you just really don't know what it is anymore. That would be great.
That would be the worst. That's so much listening for so many
I don't need
people.
anybody to even listen. I mean, ideally, it's just like comedic gold. That's what we want. Truly.
Well, that's what Andrew truly wants, is comedic gold. I want the balance.
We can have both.
Mhm.
No, just write in. It'll be
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Get on the website.
Yeah, check it out. And the website is
Have thoughts on our thoughts?
thelastofUspodcast.com
How did we get that?
or TLOUPodcast.com,
We
either
got
one.
2?
We got 2.
How did we do it?
I don't know.
They
I
were
still
both
don't know.
available. That's how we did it.
Yeah, that's how we did it.
It is
Although
weird that Sony did not scoop up the LastofUsPodcast.com.
it's a little weird.
It's not like I did anything untoward to get it. I just went to a domain registrar and I was like, I wonder, thelastofUsPodcast.com. It's
available.
Like, it's available. How much? $12.
Wow.
Yes, thank you. What about TLOU Podcast? That's our username on a bunch of. Oh, okay. That's it.
Yeah. Although I did go to check out the lastofus.com, which is currently being sold for almost $12,000. So we're not going to acquire that, but that would have been cool.
Look, if Sony wants to make a lucrative offer for the LastofUsPodcast.com,
we can change our name.
I'm open to that.
Yeah.
I'll still keep TLOUPodcast.com. Not a problem. Not a problem.
We'll see. Because again, and with the new show, I'm absolutely certain there will be an official Last of Us podcast from HBO, just like there was for Chernobyl. It was like a 6-episode thing. And I'm sure, yes, that will happen without a doubt.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that competition to look forward to.
They mainly do. I feel like that's the case. They do that with, they'll have somebody do the hosting duties, and those after shows often take place sometimes on HBO. They're like those behind the scenes things.
Mhm.
So like, of course they get access to people that, oh, that would be nice, but hey.
Yeah. Everyone, access to everyone.
Right. They're literally recording a podcast on set after. Yeah. It's like part of the day. It's like we build this into the schedule. Like, Pedro, you got a call time at 8, and then you do from 8 to 10, and then from 10:15 to 11 you're on podcast or whatever,
Yeah.
So
like that podcast is done already. It is done. It is edited. It is ready fucking go.
Right.
Ready to fucking go. But
it's ready fucking go.
Yeah. But all that, so and I do look forward to that. I do like the official podcast, so I'm interested to hear what the actors to say. And of course that will enrich our own podcast going forward. So again, rising tides lift all boats, and that's right. Kind of where we're going into the new year with that energy, and I'm really excited about it. And we're going into the new year with all of you guys, and I'm really excited about that. We're really excited about that. So if you guys would like to follow us, you can do that over on Twitter at TLOU Podcast or Instagram at Wayfarin Strangers. That's Wayfaring without the G. We have a TikTok. Our website is tloupodcast.com or thelastofUspodcast.com, like we just previously mentioned. If you'd like to email us, that's tloupodcast@gmail.com. And as always, I want to thank our coffee subs who just, your generosity throughout this entire year has blown us away. And we hope to continue to make content that keeps you engaged and keeps you coming back. And if we ever stop doing that, please let us know. but all that to say, Mr. Joel, Mari, Kelsey, Brian, Dave, Kurth, Jim, MC. Oh, I almost said yours. Sorry. Georgia B, Wander On, and
Baby Shadow.
We love you guys. We hope you have the happiest holiday season of all. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your new year, or end of the year, excuse me. And be safe, stay warm or cool, depending where you are in the world, because it's summertime in Australia, almost. So yeah, just we will catch you guys. Well, there is one more episode that comes out this year, but this is officially our last recording. So we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.